In the last couple of videos, we've been talking about long-term memory. We've made several allusions to a system that holds information for an extended duration of time. If you're thinking about long-term memory as the ability to remember significant events in your life, you're absolutely right. And if you define it as knowledge of facts about the world, you're spot on as well. Today, we're going to be finding out exactly what long-term memory really is, focusing on its two main conceptual systems, the declarative explicit memory and the non-declarative implicit memory. In addition to talking about these distinct conceptual systems, we'll discuss these different states of consciousness tied to these memory types. Understanding these distinctions is key to grasping how we recall information and how these memories shape our experiences. Long-term memory is fractionated into two major systems, declarative and non-declarative systems. In discussing these components of long-term memory, it is essential to consider how we attribute the processes involved in retrieving information. According to Squire, non-declarative memories relate to a mode of access referred to as knowing how, which is inherently different from the declarative memories characterized by the knowing that. When we talk about non-declarative memory, we're talking about a variety of skills and procedures that we perform without consciously recalling specific facts or information. For example, riding a bike or playing a musical instrument are instances of non-declarative memory. When someone learns to ride a bike, they engage in a series of physical practices that eventually lead to the ability to ride without actively recalling the steps involved. We are not trying to think about how to pedal. You take your leg forward, you bring it backward, and you pedal. We just do it unconsciously. This category of long-term memory includes skills, habits, priming, simple classical conditioning, and non-associative learning. When we talk about declarative or explicit memory, we are referring to a group of memories that involve the conscious recollection of events or the recall of facts. This is what we refer to as knowing that. For instance, recalling that Abuja is the capital of Nigeria, or that Paris is the capital of France, or maybe an event or an experience that happened sometime in your life. These memories can actually be assessed for the accuracy. We can actually test the veridicality or the truth factor behind these memories. Additionally, declarative memories, according to William James, may evoke a sense of warmth and intimacy in the individual recalling this information. Going back to the truth factor, non-declarative memories do not lend themselves to true or false distinction. It simply reflects a learned capability that is often difficult to verbalize. For example, going back to the bicycle, you cannot actually give a verbal description of how you're riding a bicycle. You just have to always teach someone by showing them how to, which is you put them on the bicycle and you teach them how to. You can't write like a script. This is how you start riding a bicycle. These kind of information have to do with learning by doing, and that's exactly why we refer to them as knowing how. Now, on the other hand, questions of veridicality do arise with respect to one's knowledge of the world in relation to it or an event that happened in relation to the individual. The access modes discussed earlier have a lot to do with the states of consciousness. It is understood that an increase in the involvement on consciousness leads to the integration of different senses or processes. These processes include language, affect, imagination, or even decision making. The knowing how access mode posits that the implicit memory system is a primitive store that lacks conscious recollection or intentional retrieval. This primitiveness is closely tied to the nature of accessing information within the store, which involves a lower mental state of consciousness, known as noetic consciousness. This form of consciousness enables us to act upon information without the explicit awareness typically associated with the task at hand. Vandekerkhove notes that we experience that we are and know intuitively how to act upon the world. For example, you know how to climb the stairs. All you have to do is find yourself in front of the stairs and you're not thinking of how to do so. You just find yourself doing it. It's the same thing with writing, right? All you have to do is know that you want to write a series of letters or copy a note from somewhere and you begin to write. In contrast, More advanced memory systems are mediated by higher states of consciousness that generally require voluntary involvement. Compared to non-declarative memory system, processing information in these higher states or in declarative memory system is often slow and effortful. Declarative memories operate within two states of consciousness. We have noetic consciousness and autonoetic consciousness. When we refer to declarative memory, we are talking or discussing about memories for facts about the world and personal experience. These conceptual systems or sub-conceptual systems of long-term memory are distinct in their modes of information retrieval. As Tolvin, who is citing T.A. Ryan, highlights, one of personally experienced past events that are recollected, and the other of general facts which are recalled. We recollect our time in the university or we recollect experiences while we recall a mathematical formula or general facts about the world. These are the two different terms that are used when we're talking about episodic memory and semantic memory. While the mind knows that it knows, the distinction between semantic and episodic memory lies in the states of consciousness associated with these two conceptual subsystems. Semantic memory is linked to noetic consciousness, which involves an awareness of the information being recalled. Noetic consciousness refers to the awareness of factual knowledge and information being recalled, allowing the individual to recognize and articulate what they know. This state is characterized by a sense of knowing without necessarily linking it to a specific personal experience. It is that when we remember a mathematical formula, or we remember that Abuja is the capital of Nigeria, or we remember an aspect of the history of Nigeria, there is no personal experience, there is no warmth or intimacy associated with that particular fact about the world. On the other hand, we have autonoetic consciousness, which involves the awareness of one's own self in relation to past experience. It allows individuals to mentally time travel, reflecting on personal events with a sense of context, emotions, and self identity. This form of consciousness is essential for episodic memory, as it enables a deeper, more intimate recollection of experience. Again, van der Kolkov states that the semantic memory system is also capable of remembering events of the past, but not with a sense of self and warmth and intimacy, which is accompanied with episodic remembering within time and context. Episodic memory requires the self. It needs an agent to be able to remember the past. If we are going to look at one distinction between them, it is what has been stated here. It is that when we are remembering general facts, or if when we're thinking about a particular theory or a particular law, we're not trying to attach the experience of when and where we learned it. We are just referring to it. In fact, when we look at semantic information, or when we are trying to discuss semantic information, we are not focused on the when and where the information was learned. We're only just focused on the information in itself. On the other hand, when we are talking about an experience, we refer to a whole lot of ourself, how we felt, how we made the other person feel, or how that event affected our future decisions. It is all about ourselves because that is the focus of episodic memories. Semantic information can be conceptualized as a vast library that stores information about facts and knowledge about the world. This library organizes new information by connecting it to existing schemas. Schemas are frameworks of understanding that encompass concepts, relationships, and propositions. Within this library, within the semantic memory store, a wide range of information is available, including objects such as trees or cars, abstract concepts such as definition of happiness or what justice is, and factual knowledge. Paris is the capital of France, the history of Nigeria. Importantly, this knowledge is not tied to personal experiences. It represents general information that anyone could learn. While utilizing this knowledge, individuals do not need to remember where or how they are acquired. For instance, one may know that the Earth orbits around the Sun without recalling the specific moment in school where they learned this fact. This ability to store and apply knowledge without needing to remember the context of its acquisition is a key feature of semantic memory. On the other hand, Episodic memory focuses on the unique perceptible properties of specific experience. When we talk about perceptible properties, we're referring to what you see in the moment. For example, in this particular video, I am wearing a white shirt, and on another video, you might see me wear a red shirt. If we were to ask person A about an event involving person B, it would be more appropriate to inquire the when or where, as this question captures the temporal and spatial features that characterize the storage and retrieval of episodic information. In contrast, asking about concepts or relationships such as what is 2 times 2 would not require a temporal reference as it pertains to knowledge of facts about a concept. If you were in a discussion where someone mistakenly claimed that 2 plus 2 is equal to 7, this will create for a memorable social interaction, but it wouldn't alter your understanding of the actual sum that 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. In reflecting on this conversation, you might say, when I was talking to person A, he made a blunder that 2 plus 2 is equal to 7. To establish the temporal and spatial context of this episodic retrieval, you might add details about the when, what day of the week, what year, what month, or maybe the time of the day, and the where. Maybe I was in school, maybe in the office, maybe on the road, where this discussion took place. However, if someone were to simply ask you about a sum, 2 plus 2, you would readily respond with 4, demonstrating that your semantic memory functions independently of the specific context in which the information was initially learned. Temporal marking is necessary for the recollection of events, as episodic memory tends to anchor us in and through time. In storing episodic information, the temporal order of experience is necessary for the recollection of the series of events. Let's assume that we have events A, B, and C on the recall timeline, and hence for a person to remember that event B happened after event A but before event C implies that each of these events must have been experienced in order, meaning that I first went to school before I got a job, before I got married, something like that. This is because the source of information is from personal experience, and hence the series of events are tied to each other for easier recall. In contrast, storage of semantic information is independent of a temporal order of knowledge for the recall of the fact. If we were to learn something new about Nigeria today, that Nigeria became a republic in 1963, and 2 weeks later we learn that Northern and Southern Nigeria were united by Sir Frederick Lord Lugard in 1914, we would have no difficulty remembering the historically correct sequence of the two events. We can easily align this in order, stating that before we became a republic, Nigeria first was united in 1914. That's not a problem. Information of a certain fact or knowledge may be gotten from different sources that give you a broader understanding of the concept. But in the case of episodic memories, first, we always have to allude the information we try to remember on a timeline. You have to remember definitely that this happened before this for us to accurately remember the information we are trying to give out. With reference to the stability of information in either semantic or episodic system, we can state that information is easily distorted in the episodic system than in the semantic system. To highlight this reason, I will be noting the idea from Tolvin, who highlights the role of temporal coding of stored events. He states, since information in episodic memory is always temporally dated, and since it can only be retrieved if its temporal date is sufficiently accurately specified by the retrieval queue, interference with temporal coding may render access to the to-be-retrieved material difficult or impossible. The second reason I would be hypothesizing, which is still in relation to the first of temporal coding, comes from the episodic similarity effect, which explains that the temporal order of similar events leads up to a mix-up in details of recalled information. Tolvin states that both the episodic and semantic systems register only change. If some information already exists in the system, the same information is not entered again. It is safe to assume that certain details in event A might be recollected in the recollection of event B. That is to say that if we have event A and event B having similar information, a lot of information will be chunked together and we may just recall it as one event. Subsequently, we may even mix up when the event happened. In our upcoming videos, we'll dive even deeper into this fascinating topic, uncovering more about how our personal experiences shape our memories. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you do not miss out on any of our upcoming discussions. I can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Until next time, keep reflecting on your own amazing memories.